Troy!
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Wrap Up. I'm Nick Buckler. My host as always, Dan Myers. Dan, we're going to jump right into it with some interesting topics. And we're calling it quits on the Wrap Up to a certain topic, and that's the Detroit Tigers. If you want Tigers coverage for the remainder of the year, you better find a different show. Because let me tell you something. We'll never talk about them again on the Wrap Up because they're not worth talking about. This is going to be my final spiel about the Tigers because they're horrible, A. They give me pain in this chest. They make me go crazy, and which, I mean, I do a lot on the show if you haven't. I'm trying to calm down, but when I watch Tiger baseball, it's tough. They're terrible. There's no sense of urgency. And I'm done. Moving on. There's a high school football referee. There's a game down in Texas, and this is just sickening to me. These two players, a team was running out the clock, and the team on defense was losing, obviously. The offense was running the clock out late in the fourth quarter. And before we get into it, I just want to talk about high school football officials. I used to be one for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. And high school officials, generally older guys, retired, like doing it, or guys who aren't retired, do it either for extra money or because they love the game, plain and simple. They like youth playing the game. And that's why they're there. They're helping the youth play the game. And these two players in this game target the back judge in a high school game. They just watch for yourself, and you can see right here as he just they make a beeline, and the first guy hits him, and then, he's laying down. The other guy's going to hit him. Well, he's down. He's defenseless. It was a blind side, and it's inexcusable. And I'm going to let you get your take in on this before I continue to just almost express my hatred for these players and what they stand for.
Yeah, a little backstory of what happened is, first of all, if anyone's to be blamed, it's the coach. What happened earlier in the game is they ejected two players. I believe it was the quarterback and somebody else. And let's face it, you're a football coach. It takes a lot. You don't want to interfere with the game. You don't want to alter the game's outcome by kicking out a player, do you? No, you just want to make the calls, make the right calls. What happened? What did these two players say that was so wrong that the referee thought it would be the referee felt he had to kick these two players out of the game? I've heard a lot of jaw-jacking and stuff like that during sports. I played hockey, you played hockey. We know how bad that can get. But there's one thing you never do is you never go after the referee. You leave that to the coach. That's the coach's job to do that. Especially a high school player, you're still young, you don't have the maturity level. You should not be yelling at the referee, let alone attacking him. And I feel that there should be some they should be arrested, or at least some sort of fine or what have you. I guess they have been suspended, possibly.
Yes.
And possible expulsion, but we'll see. But this is assault. I mean, these guys have weapons on their body. They have a helmet. They're made to tackle other players with the same type of equipment. Not a helpless, unsuspecting referee. And that is cowardice. It's immature. Excuse me. See, I'm worked up now.
You sound like me.
I'm coming out of the Nick Buckler book.
Dan Myers.
And I think it shows a lack of leadership by the coach. What the coach should have done is say, listen, this game is out of control. I will be doing the talking. You guys do the performance on the field. That's your job. My job is to take control and to guide you guys. Obviously, he didn't do that. Obviously, he has no control of the team. He is letting his players just go run rampant. And, going back to what I said earlier, how bad was the verbal assault with the referee that he felt that he had to interject with the game and kick these two players out? And that's initially why they went after him, is they were upset with the call of dismissing two players off the field, and they went and attacked him. Had this been in the parking lot, everyone right now would be saying that's assault, take some legal actions. But because it's on the field, it's just part of the game. Well, I don't think people understand the sacrifices that referees make. The time that they could be spent, a lot of them are retired. They could be spending with their family. They're trying to either A, earn some extra coin, B, they love the game. Obviously, you have to want to do that. They're put under so much pressure, it's ridiculous. And for them not to be respected, they don't have to call this game, but they're doing you a favor. They're very fair, and I think that's ridiculous. I could go on forever with this, but I just want to say I thought it was cowardice, and I really thought that actions should be taken a lot more severely than they were.
Absolutely. And I'm going to pick up where you left off. It was absolutely disgusting what they did. And it was assault. It was on the field. It was premeditated. You know they talked about that. Okay, I'm going to blindside him. You finish him off when he's laying on the ground. And his hat goes flying off. Not to mention he's a little bit out of shape, so it probably left a little bit of a bigger mark than it would on, say, this cut ex-military guy who probably could have fought back a little bit better. But the referee has now come out with a statement. Not really. He said, I'm going to wait till I talk to my legal team to make a statement. There's already been slander. There's been libel against him. People are saying he's saying whatever. It's disgusting, uncalled for. The coach should be fired. The players should be ejected. The players should never play a game again. They should never go to school there again. They should be in juvie or jail. It's absolutely uncalled for. It's pathetic.
Another thing, too, is you obviously have no idea what could possibly go wrong. Look at, I don't know if you heard about that also, but there was a player returning a punt, and he was killed. He got hit so hard, and he was wearing the protective equipment. And that player unfortunately lost his life after being hit too severely. This could have been very, very bad if they hit the referee the wrong way. We could be looking at not just assault charges.
You don't know about his health conditions. He could have a heart attack, a stroke, broken spine. It reminds me of an indoor soccer game last summer in Oakland County, Michigan. This happened last year, where there was an indoor game, a dispute on the field, and a guy just cold cocks a guy right in the face. An older guy.
Intramural game.
Ref was in his 60s. Just ref and making a couple extra dollars here and there. He was retired. Guy just winds up, hits him with a right hook in an intramural game. Absolutely uncalled for. The guy dies.
Nothing on
the line.
He kills him.
Yep. Nothing on the line. It's basically pick up indoor soccer. Guy got mad at a call, hits him right in the face, kills him. Now there's a widow, some kids without a father. You don't know what could have happened. Inexcusable. The kids should be, the program should be no more. Might be extreme, but at this point, that was an extreme hit. And it was unnecessary. Extreme matters need to be taken. Move on. Michigan football. What did you see?
I saw a lot of potential. I was actually really impressed. Granted, there wasn't the outcome that, a lot of Michigan fans were hoping right away. But I felt that the Michigan program's in a lot better state of mind than I thought it was. It was obviously there's a lot of excitement with Jim Harbaugh being there. I think a lot of not the biggest Michigan fans expected a lot more change and a change immediately. But this is, I know it's cliche to say, but this is a 2 to 3 year process before they actually start making something of themselves. I really think they have some things to improve with. Obviously, they got to work on their running game. Wasn't that strong. I don't know how I feel about the quarterback situation. It's still too early, but I think that it does show potential. And the one thing that I took out of that game was Jim Harbaugh's really behind his guys. When he went up to the quarterback after the game, just after mistakes, I don't know if you caught this, but he did go put his arm around him and say, we're going to stick with you, shake it off. And I thought that was really impressive. You didn't see that with the past two coaches, and I thought that was it was a good show of leadership that he's going to stick behind this team regardless of what happens.
Exactly. There was a few things. Obviously, they lose their opening game at Utah in Salt Lake City. They lose 24-17. 3 big interceptions from the quarterback, Jake Rudock, who finished up at Iowa, transferred because he lost his starting job there, comes here to Michigan where he has won the starting job over Shane Morris, the De La Salle graduate. Sorry, I know you went there. He's not going to start. Don't think he'll play at all this year. That's a different can of worms. Rudock throws 3 crucial interceptions. One, obviously, the pick 6 in the third quarter that pretty much, at the time, looked like the nail in the coffin. Michigan comes back, marches down the field, makes it a 1-touchdown game. And the play that really upset me was the onside kick. The kicker boots the first one so hard it goes out of bounds. Luckily, there was a timeout called before. So he gets another chance to regroup. All right, don't kick it as hard. Try to get that hop. Give your players a chance to go under there and at least make something happen. What does he do? He boots it out of bounds again, 2 in a row. Unnecessary. They practiced that. Although they didn't know who the kickoff kicker was going to be going into that game. Both guys should have been prepared, and they were. Yeah. Harbaugh is not a guy who's coming into a game like Brady Hoke unprepared. This is Michigan. No, okay, come on, Brady. Wear a headset, first off. Harbaugh, check. Headset. He's already head and shoulders above. Harbaugh, I think he's going to do good things with his team. Now, obviously, like you said, 2 to 3 years before they're back. Harbaugh needs to get his recruits in. He's still dealing with Brady Hoke's Bush League squad that he had. But he got guys to kind of leave from where they were going and recommit to Michigan. I still see 7 wins in the season this year for Michigan. 7-5, maybe 8-4 they could squeak out. And a huge win. He needs to get them ready for their big games. They're at home against Michigan State. They're at home against Ohio State. First time they've been home against both in a long time. If they can somehow split those games, which it's going to be tough. Both teams are in the top 5. But if they can somehow get up for those games, and I think Harbaugh's a guy who could get them up, the leadership, there needs to be the leadership on the team. Obviously, I don't know if it's going to be Jake Rudock. It's not going to be Shane Morris. The last couple weeks, at the first couple days of camp, Harbaugh said it was a tough battle. It was either going to be Morris or Rudock. And the last 2 weeks, he said Rudock's been head and shoulders above Morris. He's the quarterback for the year unless there's an injury. What troubled me? The offensive line. Mm-hmm. Me and you could put down a defense better than the Michigan offensive line. They could not run the ball, and Harbaugh's a pound the ball up the middle, smash mouth football kind of coach. Mm-hmm. The offensive line is not a smash mouth offensive line. They're oh no, I'm not going to hold you. No, you hold guys until you get caught. You grab them inside so it's not blatant. You got to do whatever it takes. You're going to take your holding penalties. It's not a patty cake kind of game.
No.
This is football. It's black and blue, smash mouth, Big Ten football. Let's bring it back. The Big Ten has been under a lot of scrutiny lately because the lack of talent that they've had. They've had 2 teams, and that's all they've had for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
When Michigan stopped being relevant, the Big Ten stopped being relevant. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't.
No.
Michigan was the team. They were the class of NCAA football. They lost to Appalachian State, and it was all downhill from there. Now, do I think Rich Rod, let's bring him back a little bit. I think they let him go too early. Look what he's doing at Arizona. Yeah. He's doing great things there. They should have given him 1 more year, although at the time everyone and their mother wanted him out. But I think Brady Hoke was under more scrutiny. He had to go. The dude didn't even wear a headset. He didn't know anything about football. This is Michigan. No. I'll say that probably 46 times throughout the rest of the show. Offensive line needs help. They've got one of the worst teams in Division I football coming in, the Oregon State Beavers this week. Mm-hmm. What do you think they have to improve on to improve to 1-1?
No, you're absolutely right. As far as, you got to work on your running game. I mean, especially with Hoke.
Oh, whoa.
Gosh. Oh, well,
whoa,
that
hurt. Cuts, huh? Oh, my.
Especially with Harbaugh, like in the running game. I really can't stand watching running game games. I'd rather see,
air it out.
Yes.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
That's just not his MO, so we're not going to see that. But I really think they need to focus, actually on throwing and running the ball. Granted, they're going to want to run the ball. That's going to have to, obviously sharpen up. Definitely practice throwing it also. But going back to what you said earlier, is I really think for them to establish themselves that they really haven't gone away is between those 2 big teams, between the Ohio State game and the Michigan State game, let's be real, they're not going to win those.
Whoa.
I'm throwing it out there.
Whoa.
I'll be a realist.
Hey.
Sorry to burst your bubbles, but
hey.
What they need to do is they need to show up. They have to show that there is potential, that they are going to be a contender in these next couple of years. And I think as long as they put on a good showing, that will help reestablish the Michigan organization and the university. They really do need to show up and obviously work on their running game and their throwing game. But going back, I want to reiterate that they do need to show up. It's not going to happen this year. I can't see them winning either game, but just show up and give them a run for their money. That's it.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Simply put, just improve. Every year, improve.
Yes.
5-7 last year. They should be qualified for a bowl this year, I would think. Although the non-conference schedule's tough. BYU is going to be a tough game. Mm-hmm. UNLV, not so much, but Oregon State is a little bit better than UNLV. Those are their 4. Utah, Oregon State, BYU, UNLV are the 4 non-conference games. Then they got Michigan State, Ohio State. It's a tough schedule, but I think they can do well in the Big Ten season and just improve. I like the way Davion Smith runs. Now, he doesn't have blockers, but he drives. He's always running forward. He's not east and west. He's north and south. We need Derek Green to get going. He's a 5-star recruit. Play like one. He doesn't even smell the field because he's out of shape. If you were a 5-star recruit at Michigan, don't you think you do whatever it takes to be in the best shape of your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He is going from being in shape to being A shape. Let's go. Wake up. The time is now. Let's move on to the Michigan State Spartans. What did you see? They played Western at Waldo in Kalamazoo this past Friday. And a lot of Michigan State fans are kind of nervous. They did not put on a dominating performance. If you see a team like Oregon, who they have this week in East Lansing, College Game Day will be there, Oregon would have gone to Waldo and put up 60 points.
Easily.
Michigan State kind of dipsy dude through the tulips. Oh, we're going to play some football. Ooh, doo, doo, doo. They couldn't tackle to save their lives. In open space, they would go for the big hit and miss. Guys were spinning out of it. Wrap up, football 101. I learned that when I was in 8th grade.
Yep.
Wrap up. They can't work on your tackling. Now, is their kick coverage all right? I don't know. They returned that 102-yard touchdown. That's going to happen over the year. Western is not a team that should have given them a run for their money when you're the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah, when they're talking, all these huge bowls and them going up against Ohio State, I turned that game on here and there and was just watching in the background, and they weren't going away. I mean, yeah, they were up by 2 TDs at most of the game, but they weren't going away. To see Western in their rearview mirror, right behind them tailing, that was huge, especially for a team that has the experience that they do, and to have the five returning guys in their O-line. I thought that, wow, I really thought they were going to run away with it. I thought it was just going to be that's why I didn't even bother watching it. I'm like, it'd be cool to see these two, interstate teams playing each other. Yeah, that's really cool. If you've ever been to Western, Waldo Field is just, it's small.
But it's real nice.
Yeah.
Row the boat. Row it. That's their thing.
And
they were rowing. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I really thought Michigan State was going to take off with it and just run up the score. But wow, I was really surprised.
They didn't go away, and the quarterback that everyone has been looking at as being a first-round pick this year in the upcoming draft, Connor Cook, he played awful. Just no control of the game. He was not precise. He looked a lot like he saw what Jake Rudock did the night before. Said, I think I'm going to play like him. Looked nice. It's a recipe for winning. Yeah, for the other team maybe. Rudock was the best player on the field for the Utah Utes. Moving on. Let's keep it. Let's keep it in football. We got a pro team in town, the Detroit Football Lions. They made some cuts this week. Guys who were on the bubble: Joe Fourier, Zach Zenner, George Wynn, Kellen Moore. There were some cuts made and some big ones. Let's start with Big Joe Fourier.
Yeah.
He was cut. He's going to find a team. The Jets are looking at him. The Patriots are looking at him. That's a guy that a lot of people are kind of upset to see go, but I'm not so much.
Yeah.
Sure, when you're inside the 5, he's a guy that can play keep away, hands down. But he can't really run so well, as we've seen. The injuries have plagued him over the last couple of years. He's got great dance moves, but unfortunately in football that doesn't matter. We've seen that he's not the best blocker, and route running has been a question for him. So they go out, they get Tim Wright. He's a pass-catching tight end from the Buccaneers, and he makes the team as a 3rd tight end. So you have Ebron, you have Pettigrew, now you have Tim Wright. Kellen Moore, he goes to Dallas. He gets cut. Scott Linehan picks him up. Zach Zenner makes the team. Dan, let's get your thoughts on these cuts. What's going on with the Lions?
I was really shocked with Joe Fourier taking off, but when I really evaluated what he brought to the team, yeah, he had some shiny moments, but he had more character value more than anything. He was hilarious to watch in the post games, during the games. So I wasn't looking back now in hindsight. I'm really not shocked that he's gone. I think he's going to have a pretty good career ahead of him. Just not here with the Lions. We can't use him here right now. I thought it was great that they left Kellen Moore. You and I were talking about last week. We only need 2 quarterbacks. We'll be fine with that. So I'm happy with the moves. Some of them are a little more shocking than others, but I thought it was strong, and I think it's good for this organization.
Greg Salas was another guy that got cut. Obviously, he got injured in the 4th preseason game. Yeah. That made it a lot easier on the team to cut him. He kind of jerked his knee up a little bit. He gets cut. T.J. Jones makes the team, 2nd-year guy. He was explosive in the preseason. And a guy who gets cut, last year's return man, Jeremy Ross. So that one was kind of a shocker to me. Although he wasn't so much valued in receiving, but his return, his explosiveness. He had the game when he returned 2 touchdowns against Philly 2 years ago in the Snow Bowl.
Yep.
He's gone, and now TJ Jones is in. You're probably going to see some Golden Tate returning some kicks. It's going to be by committee, I feel like, and that's fine by me. We've never been the best kick returning, punt returning team. Our coverage has never been the best. I think these are good moves for the special teams units as well. George Wynn doesn't make the team, obviously. I thought he earned a spot last year, but he's on the practice squad still, so there's a chance he could get called up if there's injury. Obviously, the running backs are Amir Abdullah, Theo Riddick, Joique Bell, and now Zach Zenner. He makes the team. Good for him. Changes his number to 34. Not that that has any meaning whatsoever, but it made top news. Tim Tebow gets cut in Philly. Would you rather have Tebow or Dan Orlovsky as your backup quarterback?
Oh, Orlovsky, absolutely. I think it's a circus when he's in town. I really don't feel like he brings any true talent to the field, to the organization, and I'll take Orlovsky all day.
Tim Tebow, 1 playoff win. Dan Orlovsky steps out of the back of the end zone in the 0-16 season to lose the game for the Lions. But I'm just saying. RG3.
There's always time to turn that around.
RG, 3rd string.
Yep.
He gets demoted. So now Kirk Cousins wins the job in Washington, Michigan State.
Yep.
Colt McCoy, 2nd string, Texas. RG3, 3rd string, their 1st-round pick 3 years ago, Baylor. Why not just cut him? Why not just cut him? He's almost bad for the public eye in Washington. There are all the media swirling around him. Let's focus on football, people, not what should have, could have been.
Right. And he's just one of those character players again. Stepping out of that sport and going to another sport, like, why do we keep keeping Dan Cleary around? It's just one of those things that I think the town's fascinated with, and he was a big deal, during his first season, and I think he's still got that PR value for the organization.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Give
the
first 10,000 fans, dreadlocks?
That or a koozie or something like that. Yeah, yep. I don't know.
Knee wraps.
There you go.
First 10,000
He'll be sponsoring
fans this
Icy
week
Hot
in Washington. Get RG3 knee wraps. You mentioned Dan Cleary. The Red Wings do agree to a 1-year contract on Friday with veteran forward number 11, Dan Cleary. 1 year, $950,000 contract. I'd put the over-under at games played for him this year at 5. Are you going to take the over, or are you going to take the under?
I'll take the under all day.
I am too. He may not play at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young guys that deserve the playing time over Dan Cleary. Dylan Larkin deserves it. Timu Pool-Cannon deserves it. It just, a lot of guys deserve it. He's not one of them. I think the main reason they brought him back is he's a great off the ice. He's a great leader. He's veteran. He's been there. He's done that. The players love him. The coaching staff loves him. I think this was a good signing for an off the ice purpose. And I think he's a great healthy scratch. And you may laugh, how can someone be a great healthy scratch? Dan Cleary is. He practices with the team every day. He takes warm-ups every day. He's in the locker room every day. When you're in the minors, you're not there. You are not with the team. You're down in the minors. Sure, even if he's down there, he's still seasoning those guys down there. But when you're with the team, the young guys who may not have been through it, you're with them. You're in their ear. You're telling them, hey, keep your head up. You'll get through it, or whatever. Great signing, not from a playing aspect. Obviously, we know the game slows down when he gets the puck. He's just not what he used to be. He used to be a very valuable piece in the playoffs in 08, 07, 09, when Hossa was here, when Franzen was good. He was a good piece, but I do think it's a good off-the-ice signing.
Yeah, I think, it was one thing if Babcock wanted to keep him around. You might not question it. But, now that, Blashill's keeping him around too, there's obviously some value to have him there. We as fans aren't seeing it, especially with his on-ice performance, but obviously there's some value that he brings to the team, that's fine. I mean, when 2 coaches are bringing him back, not just one, it says a lot about the guy's character off the ice. And hopefully he's detrimental to this team. I think we'll really find out, at the end of this year, or even halfway through the year, whether or not they want to keep him in the next year, which I really don't see that happening, but we'll see. But yeah, hopefully they'll help him out this year with this growing period that the Wings are in right now.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to end the show with a little fun fact about your Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, the Red Wings have a 24-year playoff streak, as everyone knows in the hockey world, or in Detroit, or in the area, or anywhere. You know, the Red Wings, they're the team. They've been in the playoffs for almost a quarter century. They're going for 25 this year. Well, the Red Wings playoff streak is older than the Nashville Predators, the Colorado Avalanche, the Winnipeg Jets, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, the San Jose Sharks, the Minnesota Wild, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Dallas Stars, and the Phoenix Coyotes. So you can say that Hockey Town is no more, but I beg to differ. And I'm Nick Buckler with Dan Myers. And this is the wrap-up.